After some technical difficulties, welcome everyone. This is super exciting because we're doing our world building project launch. This is something, oh no, there's traffic. But this is something that we have been talking about wanting to do for a while now, and the stars have finally aligned with our officers and our advisors to get this launched this quarter. So if you have not yet, please sign in. The link is in our Discord for you to access during the rest of the quarter as well, or the rest of the presentation as well, but the QR code will be here for an additional like 2 to 3 minutes for everyone who just walked in. But yeah, we are super excited. Give you guys a second to do that. Raise of hands, how many of you are from Illustration Plus today? Yeah, okay, a couple of people. Awesome. Yeah, we're out of chairs. Come, make yourself comfortable. This one is a little bit of a heavier meeting as far as content goes. So you're going to want to be prepared to be comfortable. The stream is full? It's full. Ah, okay. That's fine. We'll figure that out. Feel, get that. Yep, for everyone on Discord, we're working on getting the stream up a second time. Give it a second. All right. But yeah, with all of that, we will get started, if you will. So, let everyone settle. So what are we going to go over in this meeting? First, we'll talk about what to expect from the project. I know that the idea of just a world building project is pretty vague, especially for those of you who haven't been in your world building classes yet from your major. So I'll break down what we're expecting there, as well as what I am expecting of you and what you should expect in for timelines. Then we'll get to the really exciting part, the prompt reveal. Many of you voted on this through the interest form, and I have taken all of those votes and put it into something that hopefully will be really cool and fun to work with. And then finally, we'll go over exactly how to sign up, what is going to be required for you to participate, and how through the Google form that you will be using to enter, you can make my life a little bit easier, because there is a lot of you. And I wasn't expecting it to be quite this huge. So we're going to have to break things down pretty step by step. But let's get started. So what is our purpose? Can you guys see? I'm standing right in front of the board. Okay, cool. The slides will all be posted too, and they're pretty text heavy, so you can just read through them. But so the purpose of this project is, here at the Concept Club, we span many majors. I think there was something like 8 or so majors that we found in that poll. And each of those majors teaches concept art a little bit differently. They have different opportunities, different guidelines. And the hope with this project is to connect people from different majors to come together to create something really cool. And build each individual portfolio pieces for you to show off who you are, what you want to do, and how to get you started on building something that's going to hopefully get you a job in the future. While you're each going to be creating your own individual works, I really want people to collaborate if you can. The goal of this project is to create one big unified world, even if you're working in different styles. So make sure that you team up, talk to each other about your projects and your prompts, and find ways to weave them into each other so everything feels cohesive. So what to expect? For those of you who have been here before, this is going to be somewhat similar to our bi-quarterly contests, where we give you a prompt and you will be asked to develop one part of it. If you haven't been here before for those, I suggest coming to them. We host them at midterms and finals. They're a really fun, short way to do a small concept and just take a break. This is not short, however. This will be taking place over the remainder of the quarter, so about 7 or 8 weeks, with the final deadline for submission being the Saturday of week 10. So after finals are over and you've had a second to chill. Some of the prompts that you're going to get, because you will each get an individualized prompt, are going to be connected with other ones. Some of you might get a character, and some of you might get that character's weapon, or that character's companion, or something like that. So we, like I said before, really want people to connect and engage and collaborate here. Thank you. Nope. There. We are organized. So what am I expecting from you? we're going to be going through the classic concept art pipeline for this project. Those of you who are a little bit farther in your majors will know that for most concept art projects, you start out with simple ideation, and then you slowly refine that until you have a finished piece that can be sent off to your modeler or your animator to complete into the production. We're not doing the production part, obviously, we're just doing the concepting. But the hope is to give you an idea of what to expect in your later classes if you're earlier on, and give you the opportunity to create something to go in a portfolio without the time stress that SCAD gives. SCAD talks a lot about having industry standard deadlines, but they don't think so much about the fact that you're doing 2 or 3 of those industry standard deadlines at the same time. So hopefully this will take a little bit longer and let you take a little bit more time and care with it. A really important part of this is that when you submit your work for critique, because there will be a section on this Discord specifically for critique of the world building project, when you submit your work, you have your name and the prompt you've been given on each image, so that every time I'm looking at something, I don't have to go into a couple spreadsheets and see who's who and what I'm looking at. Because, for critique, it might not be immediately clear what you're doing and how that's connected, and we want to be able to see that quickly. So, this is probably one of the more important slides for this. This is our timeline. Because of how big of a project scope this is, we are going to have some hard dates and deadlines for this. Starting with one that I didn't put on here because it's pretty quick. This timeline to sign up is this Sunday at 11:59 p.m. After that, we will be closing down the form so that I can get started on writing those prompts and hopefully getting them to you by like Wednesday or Friday of next week. Yes? Can you use this as a cheat so I can... As a what? Oh, yeah, sure. Go for it. Good luck with whatever you're doing over there. Things are going perfectly well over here. Don't worry about it. So on January 31st, which is about 2 weeks, we're expecting the silhouettes to be done. You can do silhouettes or thumbnails. We want between 5 and 10, and I will break those down a little bit more in the coming slides. But so that is your first deadline, your first check-in point. Next is by February 11th, we want to have taken 3 of those and making them into more refined line sketches where we can see what's going on, solve the anatomy and perspective issues, that sort of thing. Then a week after that, in February 18th, we want to have the final line done and some color comps for the variations, what that's going to look like. And then March 14th is going to be your final illustration with like the hero pose and the callouts or turnarounds for what you're doing. So let's dive into those a little bit more because I know a lot of people here are freshmen and sophomores who haven't quite had those classes yet, which build up these foundations. So let's talk about each step. The first one is obviously silhouettes. These can be silhouettes or thumbnails, depending on what you're more comfortable with and what kind of prompt you're working with. But for this stage, I want you to create 5 to 10 radically different silhouettes. Silhouettes are important for establishing the look of a character, right? Making it identifiable, making sure it's clear. And the purpose of them being radically different is to make sure we're not getting stuck in the same shape languages, that things aren't getting muddy, that everything's not just a man with a different hat, right? For example, these guys I have up here, I did last quarter. All I really knew about this was that it was going to be some sort of monster. So as you can see, I played around a lot. They're all quite different. And I'm not expecting nearly as many as these, right? I want between 5 and 10 to give you time. And you will have about 2 weeks for these to do 5, which is pretty generous. Hopefully it'll work out and it doesn't get intimidating off the bat. But this is a really important step because it shows that you are able to think things through and provide variety to your employers. Next up, we have the refined sketches. This is when we will choose 3 of your silhouettes to further explore, break things down more, understand the shapes, solve the anatomy issues, solve the perspective stuff, and get into the like real nitty-gritty of what you have going on there. Because sometimes just a couple of shapes can look cool, but once you are tasked with making them make sense, it gets a little muddy. And you'll have about 2 weeks for this as well. Our step 3 is to have the finalized design and the color comps. Each of your prompts are going to have a connection to a color palette, which we will see later in the presentation. But as you can see here with how these plants have been handled, you can get a lot of variation out of an already set color palette. You can change the mood, you can change the energy, you can change the value. We want you to explore while having that limit so that you're not overwhelmed with the full spectrum of the rainbow. At this point too, we're asking for a 3/4 view of whatever your design is. If that's a character, we want them standing in a 3/4 view, right? If it's a creature, we want it in 3/4 so you get the perspective. If you're doing an environment or a building, we're going to have a cutaway, we're going to have a layout. If you're doing a prop, again, 3/4 to show that you know perspective, that you can do that you understand what the sides of this thing look like. And then getting into the sides, our step 4 is going to be for the callouts and turnarounds. This is where it kind of changes depending on what topic you're doing. For creatures and characters, I'm going to ask you to create a 3-point on model turnaround, which just means you're getting an idea of what the front, side, and back views of your character look like, so that a modeler could think in 3D and turn it around. And there's no consistency issues with suddenly she loses a pauldron, or there's only a tail on this side, or something like that. For your prop, you can create a turnaround too, or you can do a breakdown of how it functions if it's a more mechanical prop, and do callouts of what any moving parts would be, or how this thing physically would function in your mind and in the world. And then finally, for the environment, we want you to create a layout or a breakdown of your area, of what, if you're doing a game, what parts of it are going to be interactable. If you're doing an animation, maybe you do a second color variation of what it looks like at night, that sort of thing. We just want to give you that little bit of extra understanding of what you're creating. That will really make it look like you're thinking through all of this. And then the final step is probably the least amount of work for you and the most for me, is the layout. Once you've created all of the art, I'm going to be providing you all with a PSD template so that you can lay it out in a professional looking spread, so that it looks like you are organized and you get to show all of your process work and your big hero illustration in a way that really shows it off. And afterwards, you can take that PSD and continue using it for more of your work and get into a habit of laying things out in a nice presentation so that people know where to look and that you're not doing yourself a disservice by just having like a white background. All right, so that's all of the technical stuff done. I'm sorry it was long. I just want you guys to know what you're in for. This is not like our normal meetings. We're not just talking about learning something. This is the setup for hopefully a really successful project. Who's ready for the prompt? Yeah, all right. So as you know, we did a poll, and overwhelmingly, the winner was fantasy. We had over 150 people submitting the interest form, which absolutely blew me away. I was expecting maybe 30, so good job on that, all of you. So this is going to be broken down a little bit more clearly, but for the start, we have this as our little blurb. In a world teeming with magic and monsters, the coastal city of Krakenbarrow has discovered that plucky adventurers are great for the city's economy, and it has become a cultural hub for questgoers. Within the city are 5 unique guilds, working both in tandem and against each other to keep Krakenbarrow running. And so now we're going to go into the guilds, and Pia, this is turned off. This is the one thing I need notes for.
So sorry.
There we go. All right. Yeah, to be clear, will all be you'll have all of this information in the Discord. You're gonna have full access to this, so don't worry. There's a lot here. But here are our 5 guilds. I'm gonna talk through them as we look at the mood boards, because they each have a unique mood board as well. So why don't we start off with the Merchants Guild. Thank you for playing into it. It's great. Did it not work?
It is impossible.
Oh no.
You don't have OBS. So
I don't have OBS. Yeah, I'm sorry. Wait, where are my notes, Pia? Pia, my notes.
No, I don't know.
Give me that. Everything's fine. It's handled. The Merchants Guild. All right. So yeah, these are our magic item sellers, our potion makers, and gold hoarders. This is, as you can see, very opulent, very rich. They are the ones who saw that it was good for the economy and are grabbing onto that with both hands. Some things you can expect if you want to be in the Merchants Guild portion of people. We're going to be looking at market stalls, wagons, unique potion sellers, that kind of thing. People who are taking advantage of the booming economy and having their own small businesses to flourish. As you can see, we've got you can see we've got our color palette here. You don't have to use this exact color palette, but I ask that you remain in this sort of section for the merchants. All of these color palettes work well together and on their own, so the hope is that even if everyone's working in completely different styles, it'll have some cohesion. But moving on to our Arcane Guild. These are your mages, your elementals, your constructs, and all of your magical creatures, right? We're looking for grand libraries, magic laboratories, ritual circles, magic items. These are your classic scholarly wizards. Again, we've got the mood board, we've got the color palette. You are by no means limited to the images that I have put here. This is just to give you an initial ideation. I encourage everyone for your own pieces to grab as much reference as you can find.
And real life reference, not like
Real life reference, yeah.
Yeah.
Real life reference, you can get inspiration from concept art, but just, go exploring Savannah. Take pictures of your people and your friends in poses, whatever you need. Photography. Next up is the Thieves Guild. These are... Ooh, every time something comes on the screen is making... I'm so glad I spent so long on this. But yeah, these are your classic assassins, your rogues, and your smugglers. We're going to be looking at developing their secret hideouts, what kind of goods they're stealing, what kind of weapons they're developing down there in the underground. Just, your real classic edgy guys. And then to completely flip the script, we've got the Nature Guild. Yeah, complete opposite of the thieves. We've got the herbalists, the ecologists, the friendly creatures, and everyone who's trying to go back to nature, right? We're going to be looking at like greenhouses, studies, and various, forms of cute creature care. The lighthearted side of the guilds. And then finally, for everyone who's been in a nautical mood recently, as I have, we have the Guild of the Sea. Welcome to the sea. So yeah, this is going to be your fishermen, your captains, your pirates and sirens, everything to do with the ocean that this town is on the edge of. We're going to be looking at developing some awesome boats if people feel like dealing with that kind of perspective. And ports, what kind of cargo they're carrying, how maybe they play in with the Merchants Guild and trying to get that stuff. And all of this should hopefully weave together into some pretty cool world that we want to develop here. Yes. Huh? Cowboys are in the Nature Guild. If you want a cowboy, you have to specifically call it out on the form. There's a place for that. All right, well, that'll be next time. But yeah, so that is all of the information I have for you on what the prompt is. You will each be getting individualized prompts, as I said. So here we have the form. Don't do it immediately. Listen to what I have to say. So, if you did the interest form, you will have seen that there was a place under the concept section to put whatever you want to put, like an other option, right? That's gone now because all of you wrote Eddie, and that's not as helpful. So to everyone who wrote any there, I would ask that you please select either prop or environment, because everyone else put character mostly, as you can kind of expect. And while having a bunch of awesome characters is awesome, and I want you guys to do something that you want to do, it would be really cool if we could have a fully well-rounded concept with the environments, with the props, and that sort of thing. On this form, you will also see you can select your top 3 guilds. I'm going to try to break it down so that it's more or less even, so I can't guarantee you will get your top pick, but hopefully within the top 3. And there's also a section for you to put any like specifics that you would be hoping for. Like if you wanted cowboys, you can say cowboys.
Also, just so it's fair for everyone that can't access the stream right now, yeah, please hold on filling the form. Cause right now you're the only people that can access the form right now, and there are people that are.
No, I got the form here.
So like, close that for a second, cause I know there are some people.
Oh, I don't have the form here because you closed my note.
We'll go live sometime tomorrow morning. Just
It will be live in like 6 seconds. Hold on. and you're-
I'm saying it doesn't
oh,
have to be live right now.
No, don't worry. You can. I'm going to completely say the opposite of Pia right now. It's no worries about when to fill out the form. It's not a first come first serve situation.
Okay.
It is the form closes at midnight on Sunday, and I will not be looking at it until Monday because it's just going to be a flood of people. So don't expect to hear anything until probably Wednesday. Like I said, you will each get your individualized prompts from me. So please fill it out as well as you can so that I don't have to be guessing super much. There's also a section for style. I asked that you put a specific reference for style in that as well, of like if you're planning to work in the Arcane style versus the Steven Universe style. Those are completely different things to critique. So I want to know what you're aiming for ahead of time so that I know what to tell you. But that's about all I have here. We will leave this up for you to sign it, and we'll begin taking questions in approximately 2 minutes once I get this sent to the Discord. Because the thing's decided to break. I'm gonna add everyone.
Okay, while we wait, I'm just curious, who here wants to take merchant? Raise your hand. Ooh.
Just vibes.
Okay, for my arcane people, mood board, not the show arcane, because everyone will just raise their hand. Okay, wow, that's not as much as I thought it would. You guys don't like magic? Whoa. Okay, anyway.
Imagine.
The Thieves Guild. Okay, I thought you were gonna raise your hand.
I'm not participating.
The nature mood board. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. The Sea Guild.
The people long for the sea, Pia.
I called it
No,
out.
that is wonderful. We love some balance. That is the goal. Okay, so that is the sign up sheet is in the Discord. I'm going to get the slides there too, but for now, let's start taking questions. Yes. Yeah. So this isn't asking the style that you draw in. This is asking the style that you are aiming for. What kind of thing, if you're doing concept art, you're not going to be able to draw in the style that you like. That's just kind of how this goes. So if you're going for like a more cartoony, like Cartoon Network kind of animation job, versus if you want to be doing the next Last of Us monsters for Naughty Dog, that's a pretty wide difference. Yeah, what your aim for this is.
Just think about also like when you go out in the industry, what type of things would you like to create, and for like what types of media? I think that helps a lot. Yeah.
Your portfolio, if you have one, just a link to the website. If you don't have one, it's not a requirement, but that also helps me understand what your style is and what your goals are. Yes. Yeah, if you have like an Instagram that's your art stuff, that's fine too. An art station, anything works. And the slides are now on the Discord under announcements. I didn't do a second at everyone because I don't think I need to be that annoying about it.
Yes.
You do not need experience. This is the place to be inexperienced. That is the goal here.
Any other?
Yes. It's whatever you want. If, like I said, this whole thing, the goal is to simulate a studio environment with you also getting as much help and critique as you need. So if you've like have really been wanting to try props for a while, but all you've been allowed to do is characters, and you really want to do a prop, do a prop. Don't feel the need to create something that you feel comfortable doing. We're here to help you the whole way.
I would give you two thoughts. Because college is the place where you can experiment and you should experiment. So if that's something that you really want to do right now, definitely experiment more. But if you're already like dead set and you know what you want to do, definitely choose what you want to do because you want to build your portfolio as soon as possible, so you have as much things as possible and as good as possible. So those two are the two things that you should consider.
Yep, we're going to continue on this side and then just move over. Go across the room and raise the flashlight. Yeah, so environment design, that's one where you do more of thumbnails probably. For the environments, it depends on if your prompt gives you an exterior environment or an interior. For an interior, we're going to ask you to do like a cutaway of a building, so you do like a room. For an exterior, you can do more of like a key art shot of what this building looks like outside.
I start with also silhouettes of the building first.
Yeah, silhouettes of
Very-
the building, the like main front face. There's a couple different ways you can do it. Down the
Anyone?
middle?
Raise your hands again.
Yes. So that's similar to what we were talking about with style of like, do you want to work in realistic 3D games? Do you want to work in 2D animation? Do you want to work on realism movies? What your style and career goal is. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I want to work for Fortiche right now. So say something like that. Or if you want to go and do the next great Gravity Falls, right? Again, two completely different things that I need to know so I know how to help you. Yes, back over here. Yes, absolutely. That's wonderful.
I will say something that I just recently learned is that it's definitely really good to like be very big fan of an artist because definitely especially if they're like a big industry person. But it is not too good to base your entire style on an artist because their style is probably already known in the industry. So yeah, just a little thing. But
Yeah.
if you want to put it there now, definitely it's okay.
If you're basing your style off of an artist, I would ask that that is an artist working in the industry, not just someone who's popular on social media.
I agree. But
You know what I'm talking about. Yes, over here. No, I want one hard style because if you give me a bunch of different styles, I can't help you with one. It's-
like
You gotta narrow it down for me a little bit here.
but what one style means is like the same genre. So for example, if you give like an example of like I want the style of this artist, and this artist, but they all generally have the like similar styles, then that's like one same style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you're working with like, I don't know if I want to do the style of Steven Universe or Gravity Falls, that's adjacent enough that it's reasonable to put both.
Yeah, it's like the same.
Again, if you're putting Last of Us and Gravity Falls, that's too far.
Well,
All right, over here now.
I'll take.
Yes, good question. I meant to cover that. So critique is going to be, from this, you will get access to a section of the Discord like you did with the Playful Studios, which will have sections for you to chat, and then one that is critique submissions. You are all very welcome to critique each other's stuff. However, I'm the final call. We're acting like this is a studio with an art director, and sometimes the art director disagrees with what you think is the best. So you're going to have to submit your work and wait for my approval on which silhouettes get to move forward. But I want everyone here to help each other make those silhouettes better. If you're talking about like, that's a little clear because the arm is too close to the chest. If you extend it, you get that full profile. That's the kind of critique that we want to help with each other. But yeah, no, great question. Yes. Yes, but asterisk, I want you to also say where you hope that style to get you. Like if you're working in a style, but that style is completely unique and there's no like actual successful media that is being produced in that style right now, that gets a little bit complicated because then it's hard to tell where style ends and a insufficient foundation is. That's something that happens a lot of the time at SCAD is style can kind of hold you back at times when you're not getting the full like value out of your anatomy courses, out of your perspective courses, that sort of thing. So we want to try and keep these styles to things that are already successful. Any more questions in person? Yes. Don't worry about popularity. This is just to help you. If you want to do character creature, go for it. It's not a big issue. Yeah, everyone wants to. It was 79% of you. I have the numbers. Yes, over here. Oops. You're good. That would be the kind of thing that you should put in that section where I asked about like additional parts. Any notes that you have of like specific stuff, put it in there. Otherwise, I'm going to not really know what you want for that. And I will just be giving you a random prompt that comes out of my brain at like 2 a.m. But if you specifically are like, I want to do a combination between guilds, write that down. Call out any notes and things. I can't open that door. Yes. Write it. Talk to me after this ends.
Okay.
If I open that door, it's going to be a long weekend.
Okay, we're gonna pause for in-person questions for a
Yes.
second.
So let's see about our people online. Starting off with can, for example, if a character is from another guild but is now in another, can we add a couple of small motifs to imply that? Yes, however, you're not the one deciding that. As I said, I will be writing you all individualized prompts. Part of the issue that some illustration classes I've seen have is they give you too much agency they just tell you to create your whole own world. Where I find that having a more strict, direct prompt to work with makes you think more and solve more problems. So like I said earlier, if you want to specifically do like a cross of guilds, write that in the notes. But otherwise, you don't you can, by all means, do motifs between stuff, part of the collaboration aspect. But if you get a prompt that doesn't have room for that, I'm sorry. And then we have, is there a limit to the amount of people that will be allowed to join the project? No, except for the fact that there is a time gate for signing up. If you haven't signed up by Sunday at midnight, you will no longer be able to access the form because there are simply too many people for that to remain open and make rolling prompts. Huh?
I'm gonna answer it
Yes,
because I
go
know
for it.
some people aren't in the server.
Sure. And then what are some examples of concept art for 2D animation? I'm most familiar with 3D animation concept art like Arcane and K-pop Demon Hunters. Yeah, so 2D animation, that's a lot of the early Disney concept stuff you can look at is really good for that. It's a lot of fast, loose sketches to get the idea of shape and form. And then you're going to want a pretty defined turnaround because the animators will have to draw that in full. So you need to solve those problems for them ahead of time and give them a good reference for like expressions and movement and that sort of thing. Okay, that is the club meeting one. Now for the voice text. 27 messages. Oh, most of them are pictures of me, that's fine. If there's too many people in, say, something like character design and not enough in prop design, will people be reassigned? No, whatever you put here as what you want, it's going to be what you get. It might be just skewed in how much of everything we have, but I want to make sure that everyone feels like they want to do this and are doing something that you get to do, and that's fine. Yes.
Same thing. You're like okay with doing both characters and props. Like if we write down at the editing part, where it's like, hey, I'm okay with doing props as well. It's like there's too many characters.
I would prefer if you just like chose the one that you want to do. Just because of how Google Sheets handles this kind of thing, it's easier to break it down by just having one row to look at. No, that's fine. That's fine. If you already filled it in, we'll figure it out. Yes, over here. I don't have one on hand, but now none of you get to get this one. It would be something like, say, if you were doing the Thieves Guild, and you chose character/creature, and you gave me no other information. I would probably give you something pretty loose and vague, so there's room to explore in the silhouettes, but that still gives you a story to work with, of like a former assassin who is halfway through transforming into a werewolf but got stuck. And you gotta deal with that. It's going to be like a simple one sentence with a little bit of visual direction, a little bit of story, and from there you just get to run with it. Sometimes too, it might have a little bit of connection to another prompt, like I said, of maybe you're getting a sea captain who is the captain of this ship which recently came back into port, and someone else is doing the ship, and someone else is doing the cargo that ship was managing. And then that creates its own little subgroup of people who get to work together to create a story. Yes.
If we get a prompt that lists other people's work, will we be told who's doing it so we can contact them?
Yes, so you will get access to, probably next Friday, depending on how quickly I can get these all done, a Google Sheets that just has all your names and all of the prompts. So you can cross-reference for who you want to talk to. It'll have Discord tags too. I would urge that you guys don't just immediately DM someone and instead be reasonable and kind to people. But like, don't, invade privacy. But if there's something that's like, oh, this person has the captain of my ship, I'll reach out to them over the concept art Discord in the world building chat and see if they want to talk. That kind of thing. Yes, back here. If you don't have a portfolio, don't put anything there. It's not required for a question.
Did you enter this yet? For props.
Yeah, we're gonna move back to here now.
Okay.
For props, will there be only one prop per person? I know some props are smaller and will take a shorter time than others, and wondering how that will work. So for props, I'm going to try to give you hero props for the most part. So props that are going to be more dramatic and take more time. Your props aren't going to be boring chairs. It's not going to be something so simple as that. You can't get out of doing hard work by choosing props. The kind of props where we get multiple chairs and things would fall then into environments for your breakdown. Again, if you're creating like the ship's captain or the captain's quarters of a ship, a good breakdown for an environment would be, here's the captain's chair, here's the desk. If you're specifically choosing props, you're going to get something more interesting and more complicated than just a set piece. Is there anything else I have missed in voice text? Pia is answering them so wonderfully via replies that I'm going to believe that you have that handled. Let's check in the club meeting chat.
So.
Okay. What technical issues would I encounter doing concept art for 3D, like rendering? Yeah, so 3D, love 3D. I'm stuck in 3D right now, so I can answer this question. 3D, you have to solve all of the perspective issues early, because it has to be working in 3D. You have to know where like all of those straps go. You've got to understand the full forms and dimensions of what you're doing. You also want to have a really good understanding of material rendering, because part of the purpose of someone who is doing a concept that then gets handed to someone who is going to render it in 3D is you have to show them as quickly as possible what the texture of everything is, what it looks like, what it feels like, that sort of thing. So you're going to be wanting to do something a little bit more detailed with a little bit more like technicality to it. That said, if you want to do something for 3D animation, but your 3D animation is like Moana, you don't have to worry as much because it is itself stylized. You can have stylization in both 3D and 2D. Can we work only with digital media? No, but you will have to use a PSD at some point.
This is very true.
If you want to like crochet this, that's fine, but as long as you can scan it in and put it into Photoshop afterwards, all good. That said, I am going to require that you do the full pipeline that I have just discussed of silhouettes to final. So that is a lot of crocheting. But yeah, you can use whatever media you want, but be prepared because you will still be following along with what goes on. But there are plenty of concept artists in the industry who draw on paper, so don't worry about that. I'm guessing a more detailed turnaround for 3D model studio size. Not necessarily more detailed, but it has to be accurate. You don't want people to have questions. You're not required to use traditional, no, by no means. You can use fully digital if you want. Sorry, did I misread that? Can we work? No, I read that right. You can use digital or traditional, but it will eventually have to be in Photoshop. Okay, back to the voice text. Anyone out here right now? More questions here? Wonderful. Is there a way to go back and edit the form after we submitted it? No.
Guys, this is why Cassian said to wait.
I shouldn't have put the QR code up. I should have. All right.
Rookie points are already
Oh,
going out.
what did you do to me, Knight of Lost Solidarity?
What?
Okay, we'll figure that out. Back to club meeting. Sorry, y'all. I anticipated this, but you know.
Died.
Oh, okay, that's out of power. Okay, final call for questions, both online and in here. Yes. Forms must be submitted by 12 p.m. Sunday.
12 p.m. or 12 a.m. 12 p.m.
At midnight.
11:59 p.m.
If it's a.m., it's Monday.
Well, yeah. So 11:59.
Yeah, 11:59 p.m. There we go. Just the end of Sunday. If you have little free time, is there a suggested role to take on? Props.
Props.
If you have little free time, take
Don't
on
do
props
characters.
or reevaluate.
If you don't have a lot of free time, don't do characters.
If you have a lot of free time, I would urge you to anticipate that so that I don't write you a custom prompt and then you ghost me.
Guys.
That's going to happen anyways. I'm very aware, but I would love to minimize it. Yeah, you type this. You take over that voice text if you.
Okay.
Actually, hold on, let me get my phone. I can just do.
Guys.
More devices.
Well, it's your fault. The computer died.
That's true. I was working on ZBrush. Anywhere out here while I open this up. Wonderful. Okay, now back to voice text. That's just a meme. Cool. I think we're good. Anyone? Everyone good? Okay, so now for people who have questions but want to specifically see me afterwards, because that's going to be a line.
Guys.
Okay,
Please be civil.
that's it. That's all I've got for you. The slides are posted, the sign-up's posted. Get that in by Sunday. If you see me around and I'm not looking super busy, feel free to like seek me out at Heyman's, that kind of thing. This is going to be super exciting. I'm really excited to work with everyone. Let's go.